Welcome to the Roscommon People Podcast. We're joined today by Sean Allen, a 19-year-old student from Fourmile House in Roscommon, who is currently attending NUI Galway. Sean is making massive strides in the area of science, technology and innovation. In the coming months, we'll be visiting San Francisco with his co-founder and business partner, Sarah Jane. Sean, you're a second-year student in University College Galway, is it? Tell us a little bit about how you're finding the college experience.
Yeah, I love it. I think Galway just suits me. I wouldn't be a big man on going out or anything like that. I tend to work away on different things. But yeah, look, I'm studying science. It suits me. From the last couple of years, most of my time has been spent around the research I was doing for the Beach Young Scientist, which is now Stripe Young Scientist.
But I hadn't actually been aware. Stripe have the Collison brothers have taken over the sponsorship.
They took the main sponsorship role of it now.
Very good.
So that's exciting. They're pulling in a couple of the old alumni and stuff like that to try and get involved and build it up again. So it's. And
when you started in the Young Scientist, were you in secondary school? Was it?
Yeah, I was in TY when I did my first round of it. I did it 3 times in the end.
Wow.
Working on the same project for 3 years, which just got sent for peer review. Yesterday.
So we're very timely.
Very. It's been what, 4.5 years now working on it.
Okay, so tell us a bit about that. Just I suppose I am into scientists, as some people might be surprised to learn. But give me a little bit of what brought you into that and why you wanted to pursue that for 4.5 years at such a young age, because that's a huge amount of time as a proportion of your life.
Yeah, I think it was a weird one. I never had the plan to go at it for as long as I did. It was kind of a snowball effect nearly, where one thing led to another and then I just couldn't let it go. It kind of became my baby, I just wanted to get somewhere with it. So I come from an agricultural background, and it was Jude Lohan in Roscommon Community College, in fairness. She started the journey for me, brought me into the office one day and was just saying, I think you'd really suit the Young Scientist. So came up with the idea of what I wanted to do, and it was replacing chemical fertilizers. And I went home to Dad then, was kind of talking through it a little bit. My uncle Brendan then the same, just chatting through some things that might be coming on the market, that kind of stuff, and anaerobic digestate was one of them. Right. We'd heard about it from other people around us using it, so we just had a go at testing it out. At the time it worked very well. Now I was only in the corner of a field and on our own farm, but it showed promise in science. Okay.
So unlike, I suppose, the experience a lot of people might have of the Young Scientist Awards, of kind of doing it as a matter of procedure, you really, when you went for it, you actually really went to find a subject and idea that had some potential. It wasn't growing cress seeds and cotton wool type stuff. Were you always scientific in that way?
I would have been. I think I would have drove Mum and Dad mad over the years asking questions, and I'm very obsessive about things. Right. When I get an idea about something, that's it. I'm doing it. Okay. And I think I always had that kind of idea of wanting to work on stuff. I'd always had my head wanting to do things, and it was just the right place at the right time for that, and having the right people around me, like Mum and Dad and my uncles and stuff, and the teachers.
So what age were you when you started then? So your TY, you would have been 16? 15?
15, I think.
15,
yeah,
wow,
15.
Okay.
So at that stage it was just having the right people around me.
Yeah.
So went to the Young Scientist, got highly commended that year, and that was great. It was online, I was delighted. Went to Sci-Fest then in Galway, and that's when everything just took off.
That was a different eye-opener for you.
Yeah, that was like, it was a weird one. I was having a conversation yesterday about this, like, when I was shown that you can get something for working hard, that was it. I was away. A lecturer there, Heather Lally is her name, she came up to me after, she was one of my judges. Right. Came up to me after, she said, if you want to keep working on it, give me an email. She gave me her card, probably not expecting me to come back with a response. And I think 2 or 3 days later I was back. When can I come up? So I was going on holidays then, organised for the day after I came back to be in ATU Galway. So I was up and down that entire summer building building it up and trying to get a better data set, all that together, and back to Young Scientist again. Did well there and said, might as well do it one more time.
Right.
So my leaving cert year, I went for it again. Went to a company that were giving me the digestate just to work with, and they said, let's just do it large scale. So got 17 acres to myself. And you just said, have fun, go do what you have to do, and I tested out anything.
You obviously saw the potential in, well, not just the idea, but you as being a driver of the idea.
I think they saw the obsession, really, and the want to just to go for it. Like, I had full intentions of going, winning all at it, and that was, as bad as it is to say, it was kind of a driver, definitely. But I loved it. Like, I was put out into a field. It was 4 fields, and I was put out into that, and I was the happiest man in the world for 2 days every 4 weeks. So I was just working away.
And that competitive streak, does that come from anywhere else in your life? Were you in sports or anything that might have sown that competitive seed early on?
It would have been football, really.
Football.
Playing for Kilbride, and then lucky enough to get onto Roscommon 20s panels and minor panels, and even just dad and mum, they're both very competitive people.
They're people, and of course you have a well-known family business in the North Roscommon, Mid-North Roscommon area, the Allen family from 4 Mile House. So you have, I think this is a farm shop here in Roscommon, and out at the farm as well, is there?
No, the only shop we have now really is in Roscommon town, and then go to the markets and stuff in Galway and stuff like that as well, but everything is from home, so the shop used to be out at home, but now that's just kind of where...
So now it's in town is the main
Everything's
place.
in town, yeah.
Okay, very good. And so being in that kind of agri-enterprise environment probably helped a lot in terms of you seeing the potential that there was in innovation. How much of an impact do you think that had on your overall direction?
Massive. I think it was I knew nothing different than work, trying to run a business. I could see it in mum and dad, they're always thinking about it, they're always having to do something. Dad always on the farm working. I never saw that 9 to 5 really. So that gave me the want to work all the time. Now it took BT to make that. Before BT I wouldn't get out of bed. I was just play the PlayStation, play a bit of sport, and that was it. But
I suppose otherwise known as being a child.
Well, yeah, I was 14, 15 at the time, a bit harsh on myself, but I think it was just their work ethic brushed off on me. Even when I was young, I mightn't have realised it, but even...
Because that is a criticism a lot of people will level at young people nowadays, kind of in a generalisation, is the work ethic isn't there, and I suppose every generation says that about the generation coming after it, and there's always exceptions to the rule. How do you find the college environment, particularly I suppose in the context of COVID, and the fact that when you would have been doing the BT Young Scientist originally, it would have probably been during the COVID years.
Yeah, my first year BT was online.
Right.
So we were stuck in the middle of it all, which helped. Like, I was testing, I had nothing else to do. Okay. So it did really help.
You had no distractions.
Yeah, it was just that. Now, the work that I did then was good for what I could do then. It was just the building block. But then I suppose the college life it's exactly what I expected. But I wouldn't be the one to be out. I go out when I need to, but all that kind of stuff. There is a massive want for that. People. I see people in college a lot that are just all they want to do is go out. And there is then the people that I surround myself with. We're all just. The Ideas Lab, this jumper I'm wearing now. They really support us in the college, and I think always brilliant for that.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the Ideas Lab and the supports that are available and that have been, I suppose, probably pivotal in advancing you from second level and the Young Scientist into where you are today.
Yeah, I think the Ideas Lab it showed me how a business gets started, and if there's anything you want when it comes to business, they're the people you talk to there, and they will get you anything you want. There's all workshops, there's always workshops and stuff going on, trying to get people in and show them the world that it is. Like they've been incredible to me. Like Start 100 I did over the summer, that was a 6-week accelerator. That was all Ideas Lab run. They brought me in then when I came back, and they were just saying, you've done Start 100 now, we have nothing left for you to do, but we want to support you for the next however long you're in the college and beyond. So all they think about is supporting students. And I've seen more people come through there that had no want for business before it, but when they got the taste of it, that was it. Like my co-founder now, she was very quiet, didn't really speak. Like the first time I heard her speaking, she was in front of 100 and something people. 6 months previous to that, she could hardly talk to somebody like this in a conversation.
Right.
And they just brought her in, showed her you can do things if you put your mind to them. That kind of sense of, I suppose, empowering her, and took off.
So that empowerment is probably more important than most people give it credit for.
100%.
You know, there's a lot to be said about being self-starting and all that, but I suppose the world we live in today, those supports, those structures are important. So you can have all the self-discipline in the world, but if there's no supports there to bring you through a program, so explain what the Start 100 was for the people watching at home.
Yeah, so Start 100 was 6 weeks in the college, in the Ideas Lab. They gave us stipends and stuff for living, and it was a competition at the end of the day. So we worked on our own business, our own plan for 6 weeks. They brought in all sorts of speakers from the local enterprise office, Enterprise Ireland, other venture capital firms, other medtech. It was a very medtech based thing because Galway is so good for medtech. So they brought in all founders. It was brilliant. Like I learned so much in that 6 weeks of how to just get things off the ground. At the end of it all, then we were presenting to a couple of hundred people and 5 venture capitalists. They then judged us based off, there was 10 groups, and they judged the 10 for the winner. And that in itself was a class experience. We got mentors. I only met my mentor again there last week for a catch up, to get the ball rolling again, to get the product off the mark really and into the world.
Yeah. So you mentioned that before when we were speaking off camera. I suppose this idea has been your baby. Tell us a little bit more about the actual concept, how it grew from origin to where it is today, and the plans for the future.
Yeah. So it's way away from agriculture. It's a medtech device. So my granddad got sepsis, I'd say maybe about a year and a half ago now. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll never forget it. I was just about to go to sleep. Don't know why I was up until 2 o'clock, but Dad got a phone call in the room beside me, and I could hear it, and he just ran out the door. Right, something's not right here.
Was off.
Yeah, a phone call at that time and I knew it was my grandmother, so I knew straight away it was something wrong with him. So I was praying it wasn't anything
more serious than that, even though it was pretty serious.
Anyway, he was in hospital for, I'd say, 3 weeks, in not great shape for a while, but he got out thankfully. And that was the kind of start, because at the same time I got this Whoop band, and that just gives me loads of different markers on how my body is reacting on a daily basis. I became obsessed with that, knowing biomarkers, knowing how my body is functioning, how does that relate with how I'm feeling, what I'm doing. And the two kind of things merged.
Right, so they happened around the same time.
Yeah.
Your grandfather's health scare and crisis. And just explain what's a Whoop band? Because it's the first time I've heard that expression, so curious to know about it. So essentially it'll pick up, there's a little light here just underneath, and that light shines down in through the skin. Okay. So it gets a certain amount. Most of it is through like your heart rate, respiratory rate. There's loads of different algorithms, stuff that do that. Body temperature, loads of different markers. And every day you get a recovery score, a sleep score, and your strain. And then 3 things, it just kind of keeps you from doing too much and too little, keeps you in the middle and progressing. I got that for my 18th birthday
from my parents, and that was the start of it all, where I just went, Jesus, I love this. I wish I could get everything.
So you obviously had a data-driven mind. Anyway,
that kind of started at the Young
that started
Scientist.
off at the Young Scientists, and probably from your own agricultural background and earlier projects that you were involved in. Then, of course, coming into third level, probably being expanded and exposed to things that you probably would never have got a chance to had you not gone to Galway. Had you not chosen to go to Sligo or Dublin, you may or may not. So there is that serendipitous sort of moment of it just worked out for you.
Yeah.
Glad to hear your grandfather is back good again. So what is the project that you're now kind of almost ready to commercialise?
It's a continuous sepsis monitor for ICU patients. So let's say you go into your ICU and this device will be put onto the patient, and it'll read particular biomarkers that can tell you whether a sepsis is being developed in a patient 2 or 3 days in advance before septic shock hits, because it does come on very slowly and it doesn't really hit you until it hits you, and then
it's almost too late for a lot of people.
And it's particularly when you're in an ICU setting, a lot of blood draws have been taken, and a lot of the time you are watching for sepsis when you take your blood draw. So when you're in ICU, you need as much chance as you can get. Trying to keep the blood draws down is the main driver for why you want to do it, and then of course keeping an eye on the sepsis, because there is other markers there that are readily available that are already been used, but they're just not been complemented with the blood ones that you need as well.
Okay.
And then pulling them all into one place, and it's essentially your doctor doesn't have to look at it himself. It'll be a percentage chance of this could develop in the next couple of days, or say how the person might be trending and where their trend could go.
You had your grandfather's diagnosis with sepsis, and his own, he probably spent some time in ICU during that period. Your own exposure to the whoop band, and how it operates and the markers it gives, and you linked, as most good innovative ideas do, it was your lived experience of a personal experience combined with your own, I suppose, scientific and data-driven competencies, and being exposed to technology being used in one particular way that led you to pursue this medtech concept. So tell us, have you a name on the particular?
As of now, it's Leukocheck. It can be changed around. I'm not just too keen on it yet.
Not married to it yet.
No, definitely not. But it's at the moment it's very early stage.
And Leukocheck, so just explain what was the origin of that.
So leukocytes and lymphocytes.
Okay.
Your white blood cells, and then just check was to be continuously monitoring. That was the kind of, it just came to me one evening. It was a weird one. It just popped into me. I was like, oh yeah, I don't mind that.
No, so it does what it says in tin, and it says that again, for anyone who knows what it is, they're going to know what the reference is, and anyone who doesn't, they're going to see the brand, and I've no doubt even if you don't change it, you'll be well able to develop it.
Hopefully, anyway, yeah.
So just tell us a little bit about the science behind it, without getting too heavy into it, because you lose me after about we're at leukocytes, and that's about any further. I think I'm going to be falling behind you in a big way. So, what is the innovation in your product? I suppose if you can narrow that down.
It's the continuous monitoring without a blood draw. Trying to use existing technology that's there and just tweak it slightly, and add bits and pieces onto it, just because it's proven. And I think in looking longer term, if I'm going for FDA approval or something like that to get it to a market, it's the kind of thing where I can say to your regulating bodies that this is the exact same concept as something else. We just tweak something small.
Gotcha.
And they'll usually just go, that's perfectly fine. out you go.
Nothing more intrusive being introduced, or
there's no, you're not getting too invasive or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's essentially just using different concepts and bringing it all together. Like there's even I did an internship in TY, and I learned a lot about soil sampling and the way that's done, and that was actually a driving factor nearly of the start of it all. It's like, how can you use light to measure these things? Turned out it wasn't possible, but it was just, that was the spark that I needed to start going at it. And Start 100 was kind of where I figured out what needs to happen to get it to a point and how invasive it has to be. And the plan longer term is it's going to be invasive and then gradually work our way back out to hopefully a point where it's just light doing it rather than a needle.
Right. So without the constant blood draws, obviously that's hugely important for somebody who's in ICU and already, I presume, presumably already in a compromised condition. So it's, and I know this probably gets asked of every scientific and innovative development that comes around, is, has anyone ever tried to do something like this before? Or, because it seems on the face of it like a really good idea, and you'd have to ask yourself, well, why haven't they found a way of doing this already?
Yeah.
But that is the start of every scientific journey. So, you know.
And I asked myself that a lot over the summers, like, why hasn't this been done before? I think the tech hasn't been there and the capabilities hasn't been there, but like it is today, especially with AI coming on board and just tech advancing as quick as it is, especially nanotechnology. That's probably where it will end up. That it just hasn't been there. And
I suppose in the last, as you say yourself, even 4 or 5 years since the advent of large language models and AI and everything else, getting access to data and collecting data has always probably been the easier part of the scientific process. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah.
But analysing it has usually required human involvement in some way, shape or form. So are you using a lot of the newer technologies to speed up the analysing of the data that's been collected?
Yeah, I suppose in a longer term sense, you nearly have to, I think. You have to use what's there and what's coming, because on a commercial standpoint, it will fall behind. A lot of it will be just an algorithm that doesn't really need to be changed once it's set. But in saying this, like, this project it's a 4 or 5 year project really to get it to market, just because of the clinical trials that have to go on to make sure it's safe in the first place to get it to that point, and that the algorithms, what realistically will happen, I'd say, is build the tech, bring it to clinical, and then visually do the data analysis, and then build in the algorithm after that.
Okay. So but you have that planned out and mapped out, and I suppose you're doing science. One does not automatically associate commerce and science probably as closely as we should be, given that it's such a massive industry. Are you finding that through college, that being able to marry the two, is the supports are there, or is it more being driven by you and your commercial acumen and drive?
I think it's a bit of both. Just being surrounded by it my whole life, you know, between my uncle now, he's got his own business that's going well, and mum and dad. We've always been that way minded. And just that the supports are there and they're very visual. Or, you know, like, I walk by the Ideas Lab every day when I'm going to a lecture. So
it's right in front of you. It's not hiding away in a dusty office at the back of the college. It's right there. And big lights everywhere. I was just like, I need to just see what it is. So it's great to see that, you know, universities and colleges are signposting their supports and that the supports are working for the like yourself and your co-founder. I'm curious to know how you got to meet your co-founder. Was it like a networking style that the college organised, or was it more just a friendship that developed and that you worked on yourselves?
It was so there was a thing at the end of last year where I got a scholarship last year, Séamus McDermott. It's like an enterprise one, and herself and her other co-founder, she's a software consultancy business. They were speaking at it, and we just ended up sitting in the same row and just kind of got talking to the two of them.
So that's yourself and Sarah Jane, and what's her other co-founders?
Ethan O'Brien.
Ethan O'Brien. So the three of you were just happened to be sitting in a enterprise award. What's the name of the prize?
Séamus McDermott.
Séamus McDermott prize. And just started chatting.
Yeah, and I just said, will we go for a coffee sometime to talk? Because I straight away I said she'd be great in Lukaczek. Okay. Because I don't have the engineering background, and she's a computer and electronic engineer.
Okay.
So I said, right, I have to get her on this.
You knew your own deficits in terms of what was needed, and once you met somebody who had
the drive,
skills and the drive,
I just had to get her on board. So met her for a coffee then, and like we think very, very similarly on the business aspect of stuff. Like we were saying about how we have to start applying for more competitions and all this kind of stuff, and just straight away just started working on different things and trying to build as much as we can, as quick as we can, really.
Right. And are you working on any other projects apart from the Lukaczek and that together? Yeah,
so Lukaczek actually was the start of another one. So with starting something like a medtech business, you really have to just talk to as many people as you can. And I couldn't stand sending emails to people I didn't know.
Right.
Because I think one thing that you have to do for us anyway is provide value to them, and consistently. And when you've got 50 people that you're trying to get a meeting with, and you have to know everything about everybody and follow up with them and provide some sort of value with them every time, it turns into a big strain. So we started building an AI model to do it for us. Right. So the model at the moment, we're going to San Francisco in late October just to go to a couple of summits and things like that. So this is
kind of like a entrepreneur's CRM type thing?
Yeah, very similar, yeah. Okay. So it's, I suppose, cold outreach was what we were going for. And since that, I've talked to a couple of people and a couple of businesses as well that want to try it out. So that's just trying to get ready for that is our main focus at the moment. So Lukaczek has taken a step back because it was a weird one where we went to build it for us, and then the conversations we had after that, we kind of found that product market fit by accident. Okay. So that's our main focus at the moment, is trying to get an AI model that doesn't look so AI, because us now in particular, when we're reading a message or we see an email or a post on LinkedIn or something, you can spot AI straight away.
Yeah, we see it in the news business as well, particularly public relations companies using AI-generated press releases. I think we have a saying here now, is that the smell of AI starts getting quite bad as the days go on.
You can pick it like that. It's so easy to pick out now.
Yeah, and I think, again, there's probably a generational thing there, people who have been paying attention to AI and see it and they're like, well, if 200 things look the same, there's probably a reason why they're because no one is that, no set of people could possibly produce something so similar.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're talking about AI, it's a word, or sorry, it's a word. It's two letters that have got into the zeitgeist. People have quite a concept about what it is. What specifically, just so there'll be some people that'll understand straight away watching, and there'll be some people that'll probably have to go away and do a little bit more research on this. But I'm seeing a lot more professional people, solicitors, doctors, queried about, is there a way I can use AI to make my life easier? So is that what you're basically doing for cold outreach?
Yeah, we're just trying to streamline as much as we can. You know, you can use it in a sales setting, you could use it in reintroductions. I think any of the businesses we've talked to, like for example, Leader Kickin, they are trying to get like sports people, especially footballers, across to America on college football scholarships.
Right.
And their business relies on connections, outreaching, getting the contacts. So I'm training with them, so I just said it to Ty, the main guy, one day, and he said, geez, I'd love to hear more about that. So he's kind of our first case study, because he was saying he could spend 7-8 hours a week on just sending cold emails, cold Twitter DMs.
And of course, he also is probably, like most people who would be in sales or outreach of any description, there's also the risk of just being in the manual template zone where people look at it and say, well, that's just, they haven't put any effort into this email. So presumably that's what you're marrying together, is having a very specific, like individual specific pitch or outreach, but not having it seem like it was AI generated.
Yeah. It's a tough one to marry in the middle, but it's just showing that you've done your research on somebody, even though you mightn't necessarily have.
Yeah.
And I think just talking about how maybe the media are talking about them. Let's say if you're talking our first case, you know, our first email that we drafted with the AI was Patrick Collison from Stripe, and it did this. It was massive. It was an essay, and it told. And that was, the information was brilliant in it, but it looked AI. It had all the emojis. It had all the perfect gaps and everything. The minute I saw it, I didn't even read it. That's AI.
Yeah.
So trying to get rid of that, make it a bit shorter, but still have the impressive amount of information in there that if he was to read it, he'd go, Jesus, they know what they're talking about. They've actually done a bit of work on me.
Yeah, so it's getting that, I suppose, it's gaming the human interaction element of the mass marketing, which is the communications world we live in today. I going off on a bit of a tangent here, but Mark Twain used to write handwritten letters to people the day after a dinner. Most of the time he was apologizing, but you know, that seemed, when I heard that story, I was like, that's so alien compared to a text message or a Facebook post that we see today. But there is that grow for people to want to get back that human, I've actually looked into who you are, I'm not just spamming you with information. So if you can crack that nut, it's a hugely valuable piece of technology.
Like, I think the main thing for us as well is we're not, once it gets a reply, whether it's a no or a yes, that's it. Its job is done, and then the human comes involved then to, like the human would have.
It's just streamline the initial contact.
All you need is that first email back, and you have an opt-out line down the bottom that if, no, it's not like, if you don't like receiving these, just say no. It's like, look, if you have 30 seconds to just say, I don't want to get these emails anymore, we'll stop sending them, because you have to do that. But nobody will do that. You know, anybody that I was in Patch all summer, it's another accelerator out of Dogpatch Labs, and even to Start 100, people want to help as much as they can. I've never had anyone that I've outreached to that has got back to me has ever said no to me. They always will give you 15 minutes, and that's all you need most of the time.
Yeah, but it's just getting in front of enough people that you can get enough yeses to
get the ball rolling.
Enough 15 minutes and get the ball rolling.
Like when we're planning for San Francisco now, this is our thing for San Francisco. How many meetings can we get with big tech people, big med tech people, investors, using, I suppose I'm taking the psychological aspect of how can you hook the person in, and then Sarah Jane is building.
Right.
And obviously we're overlapping. I can't tell her how to code, I have no idea, but she can tell me, she can veto things that she doesn't like in the emails, we'll say, in the content. But how many meetings and how can we fill up our schedule from the 1st of October to the 22nd when we fly out? Got 3-week plan there of just sending this outreach and see, will people come back to us? And if we can prove that it works there, that's all we need.
So you're your own guinea pigs, essentially, on this one. And of course, less regulatory issues as well to be dealing with. Before we finish up, I'm just always amazed and curious. The energy, the enthusiasm, not so much the drive. I know that's come from the family background and your own personal lived experience, but the physical capacity to say, I'm going to fill out we're going to fill out, yourself and Sir Jen, a 3-week window where we're not going to have a minute to ourselves.
Yeah.
What do you do to ensure that you have, because you're obviously watching your biomarkers, everything very closely, is there anything that you find that might be able to help people? Because one of the biggest complaints you'll hear in the 25 plus age group now is, I'm just exhausted all the time.
Yeah, I'm exhausted all the time as well.
Like, keep going.
Yeah, I think it's just, I love it. I'm very lucky that I found something I really enjoy. Like, sport was always that thing when I was younger. It's all I could think about, and I'm just lucky that I love business and science and working on things. You know, it's like, I work in a pub on the weekend as well, and I absolutely love it. I work in our own shop on the weekend. I love it. It's just the constant go and kind of chaos in a way. Yeah. I just love it. I'm very lucky that I enjoy what I enjoy, really, more than anything. But the one thing that I neglected over the summer that I definitely felt was the lack of activity, because I was working all the time. I didn't get the time from the gym, training for the kicking or whatever it might be. And now that I'm starting to get back into that again, it's all kind of starting to feel that bit better, you know.
Okay. Well, no doubt that'll be the inspiration for the next for the next business idea. How do I be busy all the time,
and still
work all the time, and still fit into the time to be fit and healthy? When you crack that nut, I think we'll be having our next conversation over probably cognac and fine cigars. Sean, thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks a million. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.